Yes, it is quite possible to rename the EFI boot on the Mac to whatever name we want. The EFI boot is the generic name we get for Windows or Linux partitions or for any other operating system. And we can name it to whatever we want. And that's what we are going to look at in this video and how to do this on our current Mac systems. Okay, so let's take a look at what needs to be done to change the name of the EFI to whatever else we want. Now all current systems support the EFI boot and therefore they will all have some kind of EFI files and directories on the system. For example, on this external USB drive, I have the 3 Mac installers as I've already discussed in an earlier video. Then I also have Windows and Ubuntu on the same. Now Windows, if we look at the partition, the Windows installer is on a exFAT and we can write directly to that. So let's look at this partition. This is the Windows installer. It has a EFI directory and a boot within that, and we have a boot.efi in this directory. So all we need to do now is type in sudo bless a double minus sign, a folder, and we'll do a slash volumes. In fact, you can actually drag drop this boot folder into the terminal window to get the path. And a double minus sign for the label. And we want to name this as Windows 10 installer. Press enter and it'll ask you for your Mac password before it actually does that. Since I've already done this earlier, it did not ask me. Now what happens here in this boot folder, if we use a very rarely used or known shortcut to display hidden files in the Finder window, it's a command shift dot. So what has happened is that Bless has created these 2 files and these files give it the name on boot. And that is all we actually need to do. So this was Windows. The same process applies to the Linux partition. Since this is installed on a FAT partition, we can write to it from the Mac. So we just search for the EFI boot. There it is. And we need to bless this. Sudo bless double minus folder, and we can simply drag this folder here, a right arrow in the terminal, minus label, and we want to label this Ubuntu daily. Press enter, enter your password, and done. So if you do the command shift dot here, this is created. Now Windows, although we can read the NTFS partitions on Mac, we cannot write to them, so this requires a bit more of work, and we'll see how this is done in Windows after booting into Windows. So let's prepare a label and then boot into Windows to put that in place. This is why I have the scratch USB drive attached. We'll just create a folder called, let's say, EFI, or just maybe 1. I have the hidden files here showing up. So we just do a sudo bless folder, drag and drop one directory here and a label, and let's say we call this Windows 10 Professional. Password, and done. Now if we look in this directory, we have these two files. We will of course unhide them in Windows. No need to do anything else here. Now let's boot to Windows and see how we can fix that name. Now we have booted into Windows. Let's run the Explorer. Take a look at our scratch drive. We have the two files here. If you don't see them, click on View and Show Hidden Items. Check that and you will see these files. Although we could simply copy, the only problem is Explorer will not run on the place where we want to copy them. So we'll have to take a manual approach, use the command line. But first, go into disk management by pressing a Command X. Let's figure out what drive the EFI partition is on. Okay, there it is, Windows, and the first partition on this drive, that is disk 7, is the EFI Boot partition. Let's run a command prompt as administrator. And let's now try and create an access path to that partition using disk part. We can simply select that disk, which is disk 7 in this case, and we will select the first partition by saying select partition 1. That's about it, and we'll assign a letter to this partition by using assign letter equal to B. So that's it. Now we can access the EFI partition. We go into the B drive. Yes, there it is. Change into the EFI partition. Check it out. There is a boot folder there. Go into the boot folder and check it out. Actually, I already have the files there, but we'll just copy the files that we created afresh. We'll go into the properties and remove the hidden attribute, because otherwise copy will not be able to find these files. And now we simply copy from that external drive D both the required files into the current directory for the EFI boot. Since I already have them, I give permission to overwrite, and we are done with that. So that's it. So now when you boot with the option key pressed, this is what you will see. Actual names. That's it for now. Have fun till the next one.